November 5th, 2025. So, as expected, the market had a bit of a downturn, and there might still be more of a downturn. We'll look at the chart in just a second. I did buy the dip a little bit, but I didn't load the boat, so to speak. So, I am down since the downturn started. I did recoup some losses with my VIX call. And then once Bitcoin hit about 100,000, I went heavy on ASST, IBIT, and then CIFR mining. Because once Bitcoin hits 100K, that's a strong psychological number. And so now I have quite a few positions for Bitcoin. I'm feeling pretty good about it. Even if it dips down below 100K again, I still think long-term Bitcoin is going to be above 100K. And so I have leaps on CIFR, IBIT, and ASST. I added some leaps on as well. And I also bought the dip a little bit on ASST. I also still have GLXY. They are currently not doing great. If I believe that position's red, and then that they might have another contract. CIFR is going up because they have some contracts coming in, so that's great news. GLXY, there's still a chance. And then 2 days ago, I bought some SPY calls for 5 days from now. I'm thinking that it's going to get close to in the money if we can keep rebounding, but I didn't buy enough so that if I lose money here, I'm not. It's not the end of the world. I do believe we'll rebound in the next couple weeks, continue rebounding in the next couple weeks, but it's still to be determined. My biggest fail is on BULL and BBAI. BULL is under 10 right now. BBAI is hovering around $6, and I bought in around $7 for BBAI. And BULL, I think my cost base is around 12. I do have some cash secured puts as well that help get the premium down a little bit, and I'll consider selling covered calls once I see the price recover a little bit and I can get a good premium. And then my earnings plays and speculative plays, SND and BAER. That was really just a volume play. LB, Land Bridge. So all 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 these Bitcoin mining companies that are transitioning to AI, what do they need? They need lots of power. Now, West Texas has the power for them, solar panels, that sort of thing. And then uh, West Texas, one of the major landholders is LB. And so I think that there's a huge opportunity for LB to keep going up. I mean, I'm not super heavy in it, but as these crypto companies continue to expand in West Texas and continue to push towards using their AI, their data centers more for AI and building out more AI um, data centers, then I think LB has a real opportunity to get some of their land in use for these AI data centers. So I'm excited to see what happens there. So now I think let's look at the chart. How's the market as a whole doing? So if you recall, right in here, I had my last video saying that, hey, you know what? Buy VIX calls. I didn't buy SPY puts. That would have made me so much money. Um, that would have been the best case scenario. But VIX calls still made me a little bit of money. And now you might think that you missed the end of the dip. Well, maybe not. I mean, the reason why I'm not loading the boat is we still haven't broken out of this downward trend line. And if we were to create the lower end of this trend line, it's going to be somewhere around here. And in fact, let me do this just to make it so we have parallel lines. Let me clone this and go to the bottom. So this is the range that we're trading down in right here. So we could trade sideways. Oh, excuse me. We could start trading sideways, or we could even go down. So don't feel like you missed the dip yet. The dip could go straight back down, hit the bottom of this downward trend line, and then that's when you want to buy. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to buy SPY calls every time that it touches this bottom trend line. And then if it touches this trend line here, that's when I'm going to go heavier in SPY leaps. And the only way I will cut that is if I see a break below this orange trend line to about here, because this is a pretty long running upward trend line, and I think we haven't seen the end of it. We're going into the end of the year, and so I expect that November and December to be looking good. Asset managers, they want to end the year on a high. They want their clients to feel good. So there's no reason to be thinking about having a huge sell off. Now, what catalysts are ahead of us and what caused the spike upwards? Well, uncertainty, right? There's the midterms. New York's got a nice progressive mayor now. All that uncertainty is resolved today. It doesn't matter who wins. All that matters is that we have an answer and that the world is not going to explode. That's really what it is. Or maybe it's the rich players, trying to shake people out before they get in their positions before we get back to the uptrend. So I am in SPY calls, as you saw, because yesterday sometimes you just know. But the other thing I was watching is Bitcoin is sort of a benchmark I use for the overall market as a whole. And we dipped below 100K. And what did I see on Bitcoin, BTC, USD? Tons of volume, tons of relative volume. So the moment it touched 100K, and actually as we were going down, the volume just kept increasing. So you might think that that's a sign that, oh geez, the world's exploding. But no, everything I said in my last videos became true. We had Michael Burry, AI short news, and sure, Palantir went down significantly, and he probably shorted somewhere up here, right? And so Michael Burry news, too late, doesn't even matter. And we saw a lot of news, at least I saw a lot of news about the AI bubble bursting, about insecurity about the December rate cut. It's not going to happen. Well, you know what? Look at IWM. IWM is sort of the benchmark for uh, small caps, and we're starting to rebound right now. Now we don't quite have a break upwards that I feel confident in. So same story with IWM. Maybe we just retrace downward. Anything could happen. Um, but this is a nice big green candle. We still have a ways to go before I'm really confident that the bull trend is back on. Really, I expect us to trade sideways as everyone digests the news of the New York progressive mayor and yeah, building up towards that end of the year rally. So that's what I expect, and yeah, I would say don't load the boat until we get right here or in that area. That's where I'm going to load the boat, and in fact, I'll make the circle a little bit bigger, and that's where I'll go in on leaps. Yeah, AI is still hot, so let's look at CIFR. Why did I get on CIFR? And in fact, they're going down a little bit. They did gap up overnight, but the reason why is quite simply Bitcoin hit 100K. CIFR is not only a strong holder of Bitcoin, but they mine Bitcoin. And so that in itself is a huge value add if I believe that Bitcoin is going to keep going up. And I think it will long term. And then in addition, they've signed some contracts with, I believe, Microsoft, and that's where we see some spike upwards in CIFR. IBIT is just a way to trade Bitcoin through the stock market. So I have calls that I bought essentially at the bottom. Once Bitcoin hit 100K, I felt that was a strong psychological number, and we'll see what happens. And the other thing is that there's some relative volume coming in, so I felt a bit more confident in that as well. And let's check the daily. Yeah, I mean BTC USD is really the source of truth. But yeah, on the 30-minute, it tells a better story. In fact, like as it's dipping, and this right in this circle is around 100K, a little bit low for Bitcoin's price. You see that relative volume down here really consistently high on the 30-minute. And so that's a nice tell that buyers are stepping in. So now, what about tech stocks? tech is rebounding. So Meta's a big tech holding. They had a huge overreaction to their jump downward on earnings. They just had too much capex, and that spooked the market. But as you can tell, this huge spike downward, and then it started to level off. And so, what I expect to happen is we're going to do a cup and handle. That's what I think is going to happen. So, we're working on the cup. People are going to take some profits here at one of these trend lines. It'll go down for a bit and then back to all time highs. And then that'll get us to, probably sometime in December that'll happen. I don't think it'll happen as fast as I've drawn here, but I think that's what we can expect to happen for Meta. The reason why Meta went down, though, is just high capex and taxes. Those are one-time purchase, one-time issues, right? So once their next earnings comes around, there'll be higher capex for sure. But I think that we'll start to see some of the fruits of their labor starting to come around with the increased data center footprint. Now they have a contract with CoreWeave. I did sell my calls for a loss. I sold them for a loss right here. The reason for that is, while CoreWeave, I'll make a note here. Reason for stop loss. CoreWeave was underperforming CIFR and IREN. So CIFR and IREN, very simply, they're converting their Bitcoin data centers to AI. Well, they're not converting it, but they have that capability because Bitcoin, you really have lots of power. What does AI need? Lots of power. You need lots of cooling. What do Bitcoin miners today have? Lots of cooling. Yeah, there's some differences. Bitcoin miners are using like these custom ASICs and stuff like that, but there's a lot of the template that is needed for AI data centers is already handled by Bitcoin miners. So that's why CIFR and IREN. CIFR because it already has a contract with, I want to say Google and some other companies that I don't remember off the top of my head, but you could always ask ChatGPT. CoreWeave does have earnings coming up, but ultimately I'm sticking with CIFR and IREN. So I have CIFR, and yeah, that was a good call. And IREN, yeah, you might look at this and say, you know what? IREN's gone up so much. How can it go up more? Like, how is this even possible? I mean, the reality is there's so much demand for AI data centers and AI data center buildouts that I think these two companies are the front runners right now. Will the AI bubble burst? I mean, for sure at some point. And then these companies won't have perhaps as much value as they used to. But there's no reason why IREM, as long as they're still getting contracts, still getting money, there's no reason why they can't keep going up. And maybe they'll plateau somewhere and then the flush downward. I don't know. I really don't know. But they have contracts coming in. CIFR here has contracts coming in. And if they have another contract coming in, I think CIFR has a bright future. I mean, the revenue is a little bit down, but they did have some strong earnings, and they talked about some contracts recently, and that's ultimately why they're breaking out of their previous ranges. Breaking out of this range right here, I think their new contracts is why. And, earnings that met the expectations and exceeded some expectations. So, exciting times. Now, WBD, Warner Brothers Discovery, the reason for that is because they have a possible merger with another company at a premium. So I think negotiations are happening right now. So it's maybe a little late to get in on that, but I don't know. I plan to hold that until the news is pretty much done, and then I'll sell if there's a pop. Sometimes on the news it can pop downwards. So let's see how that goes. And yeah, those are my current holdings. Amazon, I was heavy on Amazon earnings, and I did make the right call, and I sold just about all of it right on that big green candle after earnings. You can see it gapped up overnight, It's on the 4-hour. I was watching this. I sold just about all of it at market open right here. Sure, I missed the OpenAI news, but I mean, who cares? But I did keep a couple of June runners. And the main thing with Amazon is that they're using their own chips. So their market cap is significantly less than NVIDIA. But if they're starting to use their own chips more and more in these data centers, and maybe they even get to the point in a few years where they sell those chips, I don't know if they'll do that. But the fact that they're using their own chips is a huge opportunity for them to have significantly reduced capex and significantly reduced expenses, because the AI data centers are very expensive, as you know, from Meta's earnings announcement. So that's what I'm watching now. Actually, small caps are on the top of my watch list. So BBAI, who knows? Earnings are coming up. That's why I didn't sell. I mean, it's pretty classic. Oversold on the 4 hours, so we're going to get a bounce no matter what. And then earnings, if it comes out pretty good guidance, which I think it will with all the contracts, then maybe we'll actually get up to here, which was my original target. Bull, yeah, bull. I'm not averaging down or anything. I'm waiting for it to retrace a little bit. We're currently oversold on 4 hours, so we are due for a bounce. We're oversold on the daily. So honestly, now would be a great time to get in. Where bull is expected to have profitability in their next earnings. And Hood, as we saw there, once it became profitable, way back here, where was it? Right, somewhere here. Yeah, it became profitable February 24 at like $14, some 15, 16. And then where did it go from there? Well, 10 times and more so. So that's kind of what I'm thinking Bull is going to do. But if this ends up being bullshit, I don't know. But the fact that earnings are coming up, we're oversold on the daily and the 4 hour. Like, I cannot see this going down anymore. We have relative volume finally at this level. That's usually a reversal indicator. So if you're going to load the boat on bull, well, don't load the boat yet. Wait for earnings really, because the big players, they might want to get in at a cheaper price before their earnings catalyst, and then boom, maybe that's the play. All right, so that's what I'm holding. Let's see what happens tomorrow.